One, and we're live. Hey everybody. So today I turned I'm actually a year older now. I can no longer call myself a young adult. I have to face the facts, and I'm an adult now. 100% adult. No more young adult bullshit. Just 100%. You're an adult. The birthday is actually quite the lonely one, I have to admit. Only one of my ex-girlfriends actually wrote me to tell me happy birthday via email. Only one. And on my Facebook, I guess I can check now. I haven't checked it in a while. Very few people are telling me happy birthday. And it's a big difference from before. Legitimately, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 of my Facebook friends are saying happy birthday to me. Only 6 from 320. That hurts. That hurts. It hurts because on early Facebook, when Facebook was just new and I was still in high school, I was such a king in high school. Like, gotta say, I miss those days. I used to get like 100, 150 in those early years of Facebook. And now here I am with 6, 10 years later. But gotta appreciate what you do get. Better 6 than 0, right? So what does this birthday actually mean for me? Well, my father and siblings might help me buy a nice 4K camera for video editing and making videos. And I really need one for the type of career and work I want to do. Also for this YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it. That's the only birthday present I think I'm going to get too. Then again, when you turn 30, you got to expect that you're not going to get the nice birthday presents that you got when you were a kid. And the best birthday present I ever got as a kid was a goddamn Nintendo GameCube. Before it was released in Europe, my dad was in a business trip. And so he came back with a GameCube shortly after my birthday. And I was just like, yeah, it was the best. It was amazing. We had to get a transformer to play the GameCube. And then sometimes there would be incompatibility with certain TVs because they were PAL and the GameCube was NTSC. And those were the good old days. So I actually spent this day gaming a little bit. Yesterday, for my own birthday, I bought myself a gift, which is what you got to do when you're an adult. You have to just get yourself a gift. So I bought myself Uncharted: The Last Legacy, the spin-off Uncharted game for PlayStation 4. And it is so beautiful. So incredibly beautiful. It has such amazing HDR and environmental storytelling and details in the environments, and then the classic high level of polish and animation and transitional animations and all that Uncharted goodness. So I just started playing. I think I'm on chapter 2, and it's just so gorgeous. I love gorgeous games. I'm such a graphic whore sometimes. Must be because I'm an artist. So when you're an artist, you appreciate other artists' art. Sadly, I would go out and party like a madman, shave, look really good, go to a certain club where I would try to get laid, with or without success. You never know. You got to go to these things expecting rejection and pulling through it. If you really are out there chasing a one night stand, they can happen, but they can also not happen. Yeah, and last month I was almost in a relationship with a girl, with a girlfriend from the neighborhood, but I thought it was best for me not to talk to her after Christmas, and some of her friends started following me on Instagram today. Like a lot of her Instagram friends. Like I even took a screenshot of how strange it was, and then I saw, oh, we all have the same friend in common. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this on the webcam. Well, I got the TV screen. It's just a screenshot of how suddenly today, within 1 hour, I had 10 new Instagram followers. This is all the notifications. This camera sucks at it. I just want to show that it's real camera. No, you can't even focus on it. Oh well. That happened. Family members called and texted me, which was nice. And yeah, this is my birthday. I'm a Capricorn. And what they say about Capricorn is that's the star sign of the goat that climbs huge mountains. That technically people say that the Capricorn is a horoscope that gets exactly what he wants, but only through long trials, long tribulations. Anyway, this year is also the year I'm doing something especially responsible. I'm trying to organize the international dyslexia convention, not a conference, convention, and I got to get to work on that. I have to really pull all the stops and do what I have to for that. Yeah, I'm doing that this year. I need to expand my connections for that, online and locally. I need to find good speakers. I need to be daring and adventurous, because you never know where this takes you. And actually, I need to finalize the location, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do it at the Technical University of Vienna. And I'm going to start talking to them now. I have a friend who's a student there, so I'll probably go with him because he's a student there. He'll be able to tour me around the university so that I know exactly what I can plan for with what facility and everything, as well as he can probably connect me to a professor, which can then connect me to the person who allows bookings and gives permission to these things. But the university itself, they have a policy that if you can always book rooms there for the summer, and that's what I need to do. So I need to start preparing, especially if this convention is happening in summer 2019. I got to do it all this month. If I expect people to be here in September or August, I I need to start letting them know it's happening now. I need to see if even my fundraiser to be able to pay for certain international speakers, if that's successful, because having a successful Indiegogo or campaign or Kickstarter, and there's this new website which is part of Indiegogo, which is more social. But I really wanted my fundraiser to be on Indiegogo. I need to do that. Yeah. I want to say something though. The video game Uncharted: The Last Legacy, it starts with I think the main character is called Chloe, with a 6-year-old Indian girl. And you may or may not know this from the subreddit I run. I'm a father of a 6-year-old girl, and she is in a closed adoption. And I actually only saw her when she was 4 years old, 2 years ago. The adoptive parents showed her to me, and to make it clear to me that she is the daughter of my ex-girlfriend. They made her look exactly like my ex-girlfriend. They gave a 4-year-old girl a very special haircut and a little bit of makeup, and they showed her to me shortly after showing me my son, and me figuring out, holy shit, this guy is my son. And the next step for those people were show him he's the father of twins. Show the little girl too. And yeah, they're in close adoptions. I have no contact to the adoptive parents, except that I know personally one family member from the adoptive family of my son, which is technically illegal in adoption law. You're not supposed to be able to adopt the children of the biological father if you know them personally, and me and this girl went to high school together. So, yeah, seeing the little girl in the video game, it constantly, it made me think about my daughter, and I just started playing the video game yesterday. She's not in the video game for so long. She probably comes back as a returning character. But yeah, that definitely depressed me a little, and it sucks. There's nothing I can do. Better that I do have children that are born, can continue my genetics, maybe learn about me, read my writing when they're older. Probably maybe even contact me once they're the legal age to contact me, which is 16. Because they were born in Canada, and that's the legal age there. And yeah. But they'll be 16 10 years from now. So in the meantime, I have to make the most of my life. I have to make the sort of life, hopefully, that makes them want to meet me, so that I do meet them. And, the only thing I realized to do that is I decided last year, middle of last year, I even announced it on Reddit. I'm going to run for president of Uruguay when I'm legally allowed to. Uruguay is my home country, of course. And when I run for president, who knows if I'll win? You need to get a campaign together for that stuff and shit. And another reason I'm doing it is because I actually, in the circles that know me, some of those circles are politicians, world politicians. I got to meet the right-hand man of the president of Iran. And while I met him, which was a coincidence, I mentioned my grandfather, and the right-hand man said, I and the president know of your grandfather. And his architecture actually also exists in Iran. And my own father never told me this about my grandfather's architecture. I was a bit in shock and awe. It was an astounding discovery that I made last year. And it made me feel so much pride for my grandfather. It made me realize that the politics my grandfather used to do, he was the right-hand man to two presidents in Uruguay, from what you would call the Republican Party of Uruguay, which is no longer very popular in Uruguay, but back then it was. And Uruguay was a much richer country back then in comparison. And because of that, I see myself going in his footsteps, re-entering my family name into politics, South American politics. And if I accomplish being president, which would be amazing, then I'm such a status in the world, my children will most likely really want to contact me. And that's one reason I want to do it. Another reason is I have a lot of first world experience. I have experience living in capitalism. I have experience living in socialism. I have experience living in Uruguay. But the experience living in Uruguay is my minor. I lived very little in the country. And a long time ago, the previous president of Uruguay, his name is Mojica, he announced that he would like all the international students, all the Uruguayan international students, to return to Uruguay. And he says the problem with international students is that they marry and then they don't return to their country because they're married to most probably a girl from the nation they're studying in. And that complicates everything. Not every woman is willing to go from the first world back to the third, not back. The students go back. She would have to move to the third world. It's just completely different. And yeah, I have to make the same sacrifice. I don't know when I'm going to do it. Maybe 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now. I don't know. And one strategy I have to improve my odds of being a respected politician is I'm going to join the military, the Navy of Uruguay. And this is a political decision because I'm going to need to be good friends with Brazilian politicians 10 years from now. I'm thinking this is 10 years from now planning. So I turned 30 years old now. I'm 30 officially today. And when I'm 40, that's the age when you can apply, put your name on the ballot for running for president of Uruguay. And the Uruguayan people, because they recently had Mojica as president, and Mojica was just a guerrilla fighter, a man who spent 12 years in prison, used to be a fighter in Uruguay in small skirmishes between rebel groups and freedom fighters. I don't know the full history of his guerrilla warfare. I don't even know exactly why he was doing it. But because he was shooting at people, I think Mojica was jailed for murder. And he himself got shot. He got shot 6 times, President Mojica, and not by a simple pistol. He was shot by an AK, not an AK, a heavy machine, heavy automatic. And now I need to find my lighter. And I probably won't have that drama in my life. I won't be able to say, oh yeah, I also got shot. But I can say that I've been persecuted, and I have an understanding of certain circles of the rich, of how the world works. I'm very, very, very wise to modern technology, science. I'm even like especially clever in physics, and my father has a master's in nuclear physics. And basically, since I could talk, he's been speaking to me about science, and he's always that's basically all he would talk to me about. He wasn't. He's not a very good father at times, but what can you do? My mother, my own father might actually be on the autistic spectrum. He doesn't socialize much. He's very bad with eye contact. He's not a warm person, and worst of all, he has an inability to adapt himself to other people's situation. My father constantly would belittle me for not being as successful as him in his ages, as if we're not in a new era, not in the era of millennials. And also, my grandfather was very rich, respected architect in Uruguay. My grandfather went to the public university, met his wife there, who was also an architect. She came from a richer family than my grandfather, so that helped him. That moved him along. But my whole grandfather's legacy, it stems from creating a raffle, the architect's raffle. He had public raffles for that. The students of the final year of architecture university, he thought up this whole concept that we can get the funds to build a house or an apartment. I don't know exactly what he did. And we can use a raffle to then give the house away. So it was donate this many dollars, and then you're in the running to get this apartment designed by multiple students, built by multiple students. So it was this double whammy of giving students a project, and then also during that project having that firsthand experience of what it takes to build an apartment. Experiencing it yourself, building some of it yourself, planning, group planning, doing all the governmental stuff you have to do, approvals, licenses. My grandfather supposedly took care of most of that. And that's why I love knowing what a man my grandfather was. Also, every time I visited Uruguay with my father, people would tell me stories about him. They would talk about my grandfather, whose name was Angel, so angel in Spanish. They would tell me the stories, how respected he was, what a good man he was, how he gave many people jobs. He gave, how he was usually surrounded by beautiful women after his wife's death. How he would treat my father, how he would be such a smart, reliable person, trustworthy in every way. All this history of being a good man. And then while I was younger, I got to appreciate it and reflect on it, and also see the similarities in myself and my grandfather. Many people also often told me I'm a very good person. I am extraordinarily kind, and I also, for a habit, would help people find work. I would help them with their resumes. I would teach people things in the places I had work. I was usually a top employee after working in a place a couple of months. Very liked by my bosses, very liked by many women in the world who I simply didn't have interest in back then. And if I could go back in time, I would be a fucking playboy. I would fuck all these girls if I had the hindsight of knowing that I'm a natural womanizer back then. While I still had all my hair and I was more handsome. Now I'm 30. Now the hair's going, which sucks. But at least I still have some on my top. At least there's still some there. So yeah, that's my next 10 years. When I'm 40, I need to be in Uruguay and I need to be running for president. And before that, I need to be in Uruguay. I need to be doing politics in Uruguay. I need to be the only job I want to do, and I have no idea how it pays. I actually should just take the time to research this now. Learn everything there is to applying to the military in Uruguay and what money you can even earn there. I don't even know. But I have to go into that, as a rookie and gain rank and learn the political system. My ex-girlfriend, which is the only one that said happy birthday to me, from Uruguay, she is very politically informed as well. She is not a politician herself, but she knows so much about politics in Uruguay, and she's a professor now. She's an official professor of the University of Artigas. And Artigas is the first general and master of Uruguay. And we adore Artigas. We have so many statues of Artigas, the whole war history. And in Uruguay, Artigas is basically our George Washington. So this is my life now. What's interesting about turning 30? I don't know. Last year was weird as fuck, but I tried to make the most of it. I'm quite the world-known artist now. I used to be before even my subreddit, but my subreddit basically gives me the data and confirms it. I know I've been spoken about in circles of the rich for a very long time, probably since I was arrested and deported from Canada. Because my whole trials, like my lawyer actually called for a document that said the media cannot report on this story, which was kind of probably counter-effective to what I wanted at the time. Like I wanted to stay and continue and finish my studies properly and not online. And I wanted to my girlfriend was pregnant at the time too. I really wanted to stay there and be a part of the birth. But I just couldn't. I wasn't allowed. And because of that separation that her parents forced on us, and the law forced on me, and my lawyer was terrible. He only had 3 months experience, my lawyer. He was in a good law firm, but he had 3 months experience. He didn't know what he was doing. So I saw the police and the Crown attorney, which was which is in Canadian courts. The plaintiff, I think, and my lawyer was the defendant. So it's the Crown is called, and they played him too. Like, I saw it with my own eyes. I took Canadian law in high school, and I actually had one of my best grades. I had an 85 in Canadian law. So I knew like my own rights and stuff. I then told the judge my lawyer was insufficient counsel. I got bail, but then the police quickly canceled my bail by using immigration law. And the police also removed my student card from my wallet. They tried to tell the judge I wasn't a student in the university where I met my ex-girlfriend at the time. All that happened now 7 years ago. That's why I have two 6-year-olds in the world. And that's probably what really made the rich and famous and the politicians and the people who gossip about these high-level dramas and traumas and have government information as well as police information and all these things that they personally investigated, probably through money, all about me. Because I even had a blog back then in Tumblr, and I post on the subreddit now many things from back then. If you believe me that I'm an interesting writer, you can believe me. That blog then while I was in jail, everybody was reading through all it, and it has so much content. That blog, it has everything, all my ideas, concepts about love and everything. It's all there, and it's documented. And the perspective I have on that writing that readers never have is I remember the days of, oh, I wrote that, and there's this secret language in my own poetry to give myself reminders of what happened on that day, without detailing it all, because the more I detail, the crazier it sounds. Yeah. But I'm continuing that. I just transferred it from a Tumblr blog to now I when I write new poetry, it goes on the subreddit. And as long as the admins don't delete my subreddit, which I think only happens as soon as you have adolescent porn and you start doxing and doing really online criminality things on your subreddit, I think it doesn't happen. So I'm going to try not to do those things. It won't be hard. And yeah, I don't know. So this year, I'm going to try. I'm a little distracted, actually. I used to focus every day on the subreddit and try make it have more and more views all the time, using my own art mostly. So I now want to do that same effect with YouTube. And I also want to do that with my convention. Organizing a convention. Luckily, I still receive government welfare. I was almost at risk of not receiving it, but then I played the system again. And actually, I feel like the Austrian government themselves were trolling me, certain people in government who know who I am and know what I do. Not exactly the president of Austria but the political party called the FPO. They know about it. They once invited me into Austrian parliament. I took some pictures of that. I need to take this, and on my very first Vblog, since I started Vblogging, I said I want to get that recognition I deserve, and I want it to be public. You know, there are days when people treat me like I'm the king of the whole world, as if I fucking created monarchy again. They treat me like that. They stalk me all over Vienna, giving me messages and signs and omens in a way that I have to interpret it, realize it. They use the same people in the same day, rich families, very beautiful girls stepping out of cars just to show themselves to me. Um, the last time this happened was in December last year. I was on a walk away back from a park where I thought I was going to meet my friends, but then my friends canceled. And I just felt bad. So I said, I'm going to take a long walk. They realized this. And then an important politician woman and her daughter, which was gorgeous, from Bangladesh, they found me and they spoke to me out of nowhere, and they were wearing their traditional Bangladeshi custom clothes. They told me they were on a diplomatic mission, and those people were really they just wanted to see me. They didn't ask me for anything, no advice. I've had politicians from India ask me for advice, and actually, like around 4 or 5 months before India gave its most of its population healthcare, I legitimately recommended to that. I told them India needs to create the most municipal jobs of any country, give healthcare, give unemployment offices. I told them India needs to become more European. And then 4 months later, India announces they legalize healthcare. And you know, I can't like officially say and recognize and say, oh yeah, I caused that. But I might have been a part of that, you know, and that's big. That the fact that I maybe was able to help influence the idea that healthcare for the Indian people would be a smart thing for their future. You know, that's me helping multiple millions of people. So I have that for myself. But you might be hearing me right now and you might not even believe it. And I also told that Indian government I want them to educate Sri Lanka and improve Sri Lanka in politics. And that part they didn't like. They were like, no. And I don't know. Actually, at the time, I was thinking more they should educate my ex-girlfriend, who's from Sri Lanka, and is also the mother of my children. I keep that portrait of her I drew. Because you know she gave birth to my first two children. One of them being a boy, you know? You have no idea. All my life, since I was basically 15, 16, I'm like, I'm going to be a father. I'm going to have a son. He's going to be an incredible boy. I'm going to give him the best life I can. And I can't. Like, actually, the opposite. My son is in a very wealthy, rich family, and I know this. But I don't know what he learns. I don't know what the adoptive parents tell him. I don't know exactly how he lives. I don't know if he's going to public school or private school. I don't know if he's studying in German, English, probably English. And yeah, I also don't know his relationship to his mother. I don't even know if if the mother kept photos of them, because she's in a dark place. She's very in denial about the whole thing. It just depresses me. I even spoke with the mother last week. We wrote each other emails. It hurts. It's beyond painful. I do not wish this for anybody. You do not want illegitimate children then to learn about them and having no legal right to them because of the choices of the mother and the mother's family. To make it even worse, because I know the parents of the adoptive parents of my son, they broke the law and they gave my son to a family that knows me. And usually that signifies that the child was given to the highest bidder. So this family got an interview, probably with the mother and the mother's parents, and they offered her money, education, a car, gifts, something, so that they chose to put my son, whose name is Mateo. I don't even know my daughter's name. A nanny told me my son's name. And actually, before I even heard my son's name, I didn't think he was my son, because he only looked a little bit like me. He looked also he looked like a mixture of me and the twin brother of my ex-girlfriend. That's what he looked like. He didn't have like 100% my face, but he looked a little bit like me. Most of all, he had my eyes and my hairline. When I saw his hairline, that's when I really started like being so confused. Because for a year after my deportation and jailing, the mother told me she was never pregnant and stuff. And she continues with the story. She keeps... and it's not true. And she does this because she has to legally protect herself from the crime she did, which is never inform the biological father of the birth. So she's in the situation where she wants to pretend it never happened. Before that, she would tell people like in university, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant, but not with Matthias's kid." And everybody in university knew she was my girlfriend, and she and I would fool around like complete lovebirds. She then stopped going to school while she was pregnant. On Facebook, I found one photo of her in an art gallery where she's really fat, like has a belly full of 2 children, fat, and that's the only proof of evidence I have, actually, just that photo. Then I also have all my documentations and conversations I had with people while she was pregnant, before I went to jail, emails I sent her, then emails I sent after I went to jail. But after I went to jail, there came a point where I felt like if she was pregnant, she wouldn't have not helped me get out of jail. But that was not true. And a strange coincidence is, after I was in jail and after I got deported, I was actually in a hostel with a father and his son, and his son's name was my name. It was Matthias. And it was this adorable boy. And it was quite karmic, That's also when my stalker went to the same hostel I was in, requested at the front door. She asked, where is Matthias staying? Which room is he? And then she came, and it was a hostel, so there were multiple beds. Since she's a rich girl, coming from a rich family with rich ideas, she probably didn't even know the hostels existed. Her idea was she was probably going to stay in the same hotel bedroom as me. But that wasn't the case. There were multiple beds. It was night. She checked in like 4 days after I checked in. And I saw her check in, and I was in my bed. I was going to bed. And I looked at her, and she looked me straight in the eyes. And seeing her look me in the eyes, it did like this hypnosis on me. It put me straight back to sleep. I just saw her. I didn't question anything, and I just went back to sleep. Then I woke up the next morning, and I see her in the bed, in the bunk bed above me. And there she was. So I took out my cell phone, and I took a snapshot of her. But at the time, I was thinking, why does this girl who just came into the hostel look so much like this girl I used to know in high school? Why? It was just like, huh? And she also had makeup on. So she went to bed with all this makeup on. Who knows what she was thinking? She is an insane woman. I learned more about her thinking process the more she stalked me. But this was the first major event of stalking now, 7 years ago in Uruguay, in Montevideo, in a hostel. And after seeing her in the bed, I said hello to her in Spanish, hola, hola. And then she looked at me, she opened her eyes, she smiled, and then she turned around in the bed. And then she looked away. And my reaction to that was, yeah, no. Then I went downstairs. I went on the computer of the hostel. I was ignoring her. Coincidentally, I packed my things from the previous night. I was on Facebook. I messaged my mom, who wasn't in the country at the time, but she had an apartment in Montevideo. My mom told me I can go to the apartment now. So then I left. I took my things. I left the hostel the day after she came. I was also stoned from the night before, because one of the first things I did when I got to Uruguay was I bought myself weed before it was legal there from the street. And I didn't get scammed. It was amazing. I met the right people, the good people. Those trips buying weed in Uruguay, man, they were nuts. You would meet all these different kinds of people. I would have to wait long times sometimes. And it was amazing. So I would drink beer with this guy, get to know him in his life. He took me to these neighborhoods where me as upper society, old society, Uruguayan young adult, I would have never seen these parts. But my love for marijuana let me see, like, I almost called it the underbelly, but it's more like the real Montevideo, the real city. And it makes sense, because in Toronto, I was also in a gangster and ghetto neighborhood. In Vienna, I never had these problems. In Vienna, I very rarely ever been in bad neighborhoods and stuff, and I never had problems. The only shit that happens to me in Vienna is so far 3 times in buying weed in 5 years, and that's buying a lot of weed. I got scammed. Like, I lost 50 euros. Coincidentally, it happened at the start of this year too. Those 50 euros I'm never getting back. And yeah, so maybe, like, now that I'm 30, maybe I should consider, like, not smoking weed. Also, quitting cigarettes would be smart for my own health, for my fitness and stuff. but I don't know if I can do that. I really love weed. I love binging on weed. I love forgetting the world, escaping it. Because I still continue to have these problems with stalkers and people who spy on me, and I cannot afford an escape from it at the moment, or I haven't figured out the right thing to do to get them incriminated and arrested, or I don't know what. Either way, they're very rich and smart. They're also crazy. They're insane. The things I've learned about them, I wish I never learned. I feel like I'm in a perfect position to take this knowledge and use it to the best of my ability going forward. Take my other abilities such as filmmaking, art making, writing, my organizational skills. I've always been the type of person who organizes things. In high school, let's start at elementary school. In fourth grade, fourth and fifth grade, I got voted class president by my fellow peers and students. And it was like unanimously, Matthias is our class president. The students loved me. Even though I failed 1 year and I was 1 year older than them back then. Maybe it was 2 years. Back then, maybe I already failed 2 years. And so after that, in high school, I was in Toronto. First, I was in elementary and private school in Vienna, Austria, international private school with British private school program, which had very good school books and you could learn very good things. And the teachers were good to me, even with my learning difficulties and learning difference. It just happened. So in high school, then I started a film club, and we were like 10, 12 people, and we made some cool videos. Some we put on YouTube, most we didn't. Sadly, we didn't. I even lost a very good video that a friend of mine wanted to put, that I made for her and a little bit with her and her friends. We wanted to put it in a competition, and then I lost the file. I couldn't find the file anywhere on my computer. They had a DVD version that I gave them, but they lost that one too. So that was gone. Then I have other stuff that I never uploaded, or if I uploaded them, I put them on the high school YouTube, which I don't have access to anymore, and I put them as hidden, so I can't find them now on the web. Although my very first movie is still there. It's called Tripodosaurus, and it was an homage to Aliens. It's James Cameron's Aliens. Not James Cameron. Whoopsie daisy. James Cameron made Aliens, the sequel. The Alien was Ridley Scott. Great filmmaker. And then I made Tripodosaurus 2. That trailer is on my current YouTube. And that one's a funny one. I made a final cut of that movie that has so many problems with my main actor. He was such a lazy guy. I wrote a script. He didn't want to read the script. He didn't want to follow the script. So then I had to basically make the movie through improv, which was also fun in a way. But I was really mad that I couldn't do it like a real filmmaker. Because in my youth, when I used to live with my dad, he would always buy DVDs and have a big DVD collection. And back then, DVDs had special features, making ofs, and I watched every single one. Every one of 100 DVDs and stuff and TVs. I watched every single episode I could about learning how to be a filmmaker. And I still have that knowledge in me, and it's still very practical advice, especially because back then special effects were not everything. So you would see their process for practical effects. And that was like where I came from. I really thought I would be in the film industry. I really did. And considering I was living in Toronto at the time, where there's lots of filmmaking and connections with Los Angeles, this is basically the Los Angeles of the North, very often filmed in the place of New York, because it's cheaper to film in Toronto than it is to film in actual New York, as well as it's very hard to get permits to film in New York. Toronto had an industry there. So I'm like, I live in this city now. This is the best career for me. Making it as a filmmaker in Europe is even worse. And actually, you think that now in the social media age where everybody has a computer screen in their pocket, you think that video would be highly valued and talented filmmakers would be valued. But no, it's basically like other art forms. You could be incredibly talented and you could be asking for reasonable amounts of money for your work and you still won't get it. And that's where the art world, it sucks. So I'm just going to end the stream at exactly 1 hour. I also need a pee. Too many energy drinks. I drink too many cheap energy drinks. By the way, this is also going to be an official drink at Lexi Convention. I don't know what else to say. I'm 30 years old now. I think I know where my life is going. I have that goal of becoming president of my home country. And it's a crazy goal. But probably because of the connections with my grandfather, the recognition of my last name in the country, I may be able to do it. It may happen. And the best benefit I can get from that is that then my 2 children, hopefully, they reach out to me when they're 16, hopefully. As young as possible, I want them to reach out to me. And that will hopefully work out for me. So that's it. This is my birthday. I might still go out tonight. I don't have much money, though. I get more money tomorrow in my bank account. I need to continue to do art commissions and all these things for extra income. But I'm going to try to spend tonight, especially working on Lexi Convention, the world's first international dyslexia convention, because there's nothing better than I can do. So goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching. If you did watch, this is all. At the moment, I get very little views for these vlogs, but who knows, in the future, someone might go back and appreciate them. Like myself, even. So that's it. Bye.